we just completed a mat exercise, about 20-minute mat, that you could do pretty much every morning or evening to help create flexibility and strength. And so what we thought we would do is then add some prop to what we did and let you see that. So when we do our mat certification, we like to introduce props in order to deepen the work. So I think this is very important. A lot of times props are used as maybe a little bit of entertainment, and not to say that that's a bad thing, but I always like to say that props should deepen the work or add to it, not take away. So if you ever have a client who adds, say, an ankle work to side leg work, and that is causing them to lose the stability in the core, you want to let go of that weight and go back to unweighted work. So we just want to make sure that we're using our props with the right intentions. So the first thing I'm going to have us work with today is going to be the Pilates ring. So that's a very traditional Pilates piece of, I guess we could say prop, but really it's a really good tool. So I'm going to have you lay down on your back. And just like we started in our mat class, we're going to start with a bridge here. So you're going to take that ring and place them in between the inner thighs and walk your feet about hip distance apart. And in order to do that, then you're going to need to create a little squeeze on that ring. And then once you've got that squeeze, let the ring fall out to a circle. So you're going to squeeze the ring into an oval and then release it to a circle. And we'll do that a few more times. And what this should make you feel is your adductors, the inner thighs firing. And oftentimes that inner thigh strength is very much related to pelvic floor strength. So once we found that, you're going to start to tip the pelvis gently towards you, so creating that sense of posterior tilt, and then peel the spine up and off the mat, keeping the ring in that oval shape, and release back down, and then release the ring. And so the ring becomes a good tool to help a client find the inner thigh, or even yourself as you're working here, and release back. And that just helps us feel a little more pelvic floor. And perhaps sometimes for some of us who tend to ride the outside of our thighs when we bridge, you might feel a little deeper sense of that hamstring work. We'll go one more, and we're going to hold the up here. And now you're going to give me little squeezes on that ring as you're here. And again, you might just start to feel inner thigh slightly different, or I'm sorry, back of leg, the hamstring slightly different, and a lot of inner thigh. And maybe a couple more pulses here, and then we'll hold, and we'll roll it back down and pause. So it's a very nice tool to help us find that. So then, arms to sky. So now we're going to use this tool on our roll-up. So we're going to flex the feet, and I want you to squeeze the ring with the heels of the hands, and bring your chin to your chest, and then concentrate on the squeeze of the ring to bring you up, right? So squeeze and come up. Reach, so that's that spine stretch forward, and then we roll back down and release the arms overhead. Now, if you need to modify this for someone that has trouble with the roll-up, you can take one foot into the ring, ground one leg to the floor, and chin to chest, light touch on the ring, just for that connection, and exhale it up, and then round back down. So kind of like climb a tree on reformer. The connection just helps that client roll through the back a little bit, and perhaps that just lets them become a little more successful. And then we just switch, left leg in, rounding back, and also you get this nice little hamstring stretch here, which can help. You just want to watch that their shoulders are down and away. And then pause. So the ring also then can aid, I like it a lot for push-ups. So we did standing roll downs here. So I'm going to have us just come to the all four position and you're going to place the ring on your sternum. So right on your breastbone, your first fused rib. And then take your hands to the floor. And you have to often keep a little bend in the elbows to start here. one leg back to find your plank and then the other. Now we're going to press the ring to the floor and rise up. And press and rise up. And what this does is it often helps the client that suffers from the down to really feel the spring back up. So sometimes that down can be scary, like they're never coming back up. And then hold one leg down and then the other. So that's another nice little tactile cue or a tactile piece that we can use the ring for. And then one other one that we can use this for is that side lying, bringing the ring in between the ankle bones and coming down. So we did leg circles here. Now we can actually lift the legs. So you're squeezing inner thighs together, lift and lower. You can do this up or take your client to the floor and just concentrate on the leg lift. And again, it's just a nice little tool to keep those inner thighs firing. And then we're using a little bit of the abductor and deep oblique. And then you would do that to the other side. So just a few little things. The last one that I like the ring for is when we come back into the idea of somebody who tends to use their neck to come into flexion, resting the ring at the back of the head, bringing the hands to the other part of the ring, lay the head down, and feel a little like your hands are pushing up and your head is pushing back, and then your chest does the lifting. And this just helps take the client out of the wanting to make this movement come from the neck, and they can push the head back and lift up through the chest. And it just gives them a much better connection. So that's Pilates ring. And then let's play with the ball here. So I'm going to have you come up, and we're going to place that ball just at the tips of the shoulder blades and go back. So this one really gives the client that nice way of pushing into the shoulders and chest lifting off of it. From here, you're going to bring one leg to tabletop and then the other. And you could do hundreds right here, so giving me that sense of tap, or hands behind the head and taking it crisscross. And this can be challenging because the abs have to stay really connected even as we reach the legs away. And the ball really gives that good tactile cue if we're curling up through the chest or losing that connection. And then release. So that's a nice one to use the ball for. The other one we can use the ball for is bringing the ball underneath the pelvis and letting the client come down onto that, helping them find that posterior tilt, and then one leg to the sky, and then lower and lift. And this is less hamstring because we're on the ball, but more opportunity to find that sense of length through the hip. And just feeling how we can disassociate those two parts, pelvis still, leg moving. And then both legs go down, and you can slide that ball out from underneath. So a few little things to use that round ball. You could also place it in between the inner thighs and do the bridging that we did with the ring if you just have a ball and not a ring. And you can even give me those little pulses as well here. So the round ball, you can even just use the toy ball from the store as well. Just a little squish is good, so sometimes I let a little air out so that you got that. And then the last thing we're going to do is use the ankle weights. So these are ball weights. You can take a few weight off, so if you feel like it's too much, feel free to loosen your weight. Again, they don't have to be fancy. You could use the old school type as well. And we're going to come down, and we'll do that single leg work. So the weight of the weight just adds a little extra, right? Same idea, using that prop to add to, not to take away. And then we could go into our circles here. It's a lot deeper sense of work. So you can feel that in the legs, and then we reverse it. Nice. And then come in, and obviously we could do that to the other side. So again, using the weight for two reasons: to make the work perhaps a little more difficult, but I really like to use props to help a client connect a little deeper. So if it's hard for them to connect into their inner thighs, giving them that Pilates ring helps to really find that for them. Adding an ankle weight, sometimes the heaviness of the leg can help them connect into the work a bit more. So we just want to make sure that we're introducing props for the right reason, and know that that is all covered in our mat certification as well, to help use props in the correct way. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.